Hello, 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 and welcome to Black History Month goodie bag number 9. Yeah, so let's get started. We are continuing on with the Harlem Renaissance thing. This happens to be the very last person that I'm choosing from the Harlem Renaissance. If you remember, the Harlem Renaissance was a time that happened between the 1910s and the 1930s. It was a black cultural explosion where African American people were able to share their talents intellectually through the arts like music, theater, and literature. Which brings me to today's person, which happens to be Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston was an author, an anthropologist, and she was a filmmaker. And many of her works focused on the lives of African Americans. And that, I believe, is what really stuck to me or drew me to the book that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. It is called Their Eyes Were Watching God. Now, some of you know that I'm a Christian, so just the title, the fact that God is in it, might have been a thing that drew me, but no, it was not. Well, maybe a little bit, but the thing that really got me in the story was the fact that it was about a young African American teenager, and it kind of followed her through her life, and all through the story, it was one in which she was looking for love. And I think that that's something that we all can identify with. Looking for love, looking for acceptance, looking to be loved unconditionally, really. This is not something that's foreign to us. I think that this is something that each one of us can relate to. But the beautiful thing about it was we watched her go through these different situations, and some were painful, they were heartbreaking. This book just took me through a vast scope of emotions. And one of the quotes that I've really, really remembered all of my life is what I'm going to share with you today. And I want you to know that it is written in African American dialect at the time. I am going to read the quote in the African American dialect, and then I am going to translate it for those of you who need translation. Here we go. Phoebe, you got to go there to know there. Your papa and your mama and nobody else can tell you and show you. Two things everybody's got to do for themselves. They got to go to God, and they got to find out about living for themselves. Can I just take a moment? Because each time I read that, it's powerful because it's so true. Let me translate it for those of you who missed it. Phoebe, you have to go there to know there. Your papa and your mama and nobody else can tell you and nobody can show you. There are two things that you have to do, or two things that everyone has to do for themselves, and that is that they have to go to God and they have to find out about living for themselves. Oh my goodness, and yes. First, they have to go to God for themselves. Nobody can make someone come to God. You can share about God, you can take them to church, you can pray for them, you can surround them, sing songs, kumbayaing, but they have to decide for themselves. They have to say in their hearts, like, no, this is something that I want. I want a relationship with God. I want that. I surrender. I want to make the Lord the head of my life, and that is amazing when they make that step, but you can't do it for them, and that is important to know. Nobody can do it for you. And on the flip side, when you find that you're in that situation where you just keep running to somebody to pray for you, you have to learn to be able to come to God for yourself. Like, you can't rely on people all the time to go to God for you. It's about developing a relationship where you can talk to him and you can say, Lord, I'm hurting, or I'm angry, or I need your help. Lord, come, please. Building that relationship yourself is the thing that puts you on firm foundation. Okay, going on to number 2. You have to find out about living for yourself. nobody can live your life for you. And just like previously, there were two things. There were two different sides to that coin. The first side of the coin was that you have to come to God. You have to decide that He is Lord of your life. And the other one is you can't drag a person. You can't make a person. You can't. It has to be them. Two sides. The person who is praying and the person who is coming. Two sides. Same here. You have to live your life for yourself. Okay, number one, we're going to start with the person who's trying to help you. So we're going to say, like, this person is trying to give you all of this advice. They want you to do this. They want you to do this. They want you to do this. You got to surrender. Open your hands up and surrender. You cannot live that person's life for them. You have to allow them to make their own mistakes. Back up. Yeah, sometimes we need to give a little advice once in a while, but sometimes it's overkill. A person needs to be able to live their life, make their mistakes. We live in the world these days where people don't want another person to make a mistake. They don't want another person to fail. They don't want another person to hurt, and you are robbing them of the goodies when you try to do everything for them and protect them in that way. On the flip side, bringing me, like, let's say, like, oh, I need help, I'm asking everybody. You can't ask everybody to do everything for you all the time because you're depending on them, and they are not going to be the ones that are living with the consequences. Whatever you do, you are the one living with the consequences. So you can ask someone for some advice. You can ask someone for help. You can ask somebody for a little prayer. But when it comes down to it, it's you. What did you decide? What are you going to do? It's your life. You are the one that are going to be standing in front of the pearly gates to give an accounting of what you did, right? So let's just remember, on the one hand, let that person live their life. Let that person make decisions, make mistakes, whatever. And on the other side, live your life. It's yours. Enjoy it. Okay, so these were the two things, the two reasons why I loved this book. It just brought that idea, that quote, it just made me think about that, and it just rang true, and it's always stayed with me, and I love the book, and there's so many other great quotes. If you want to find out about Zora Neale Hurston, you can, because she's all over the web, so you can do it, and this book. Another thing, if you have read Their Eyes Were Watching God, I would love to know what you got out of the book. So feel free to put your comments down below. I'd like to hear what you learned from the book. I hope you enjoyed today's goodie. And if you did, I hope you share it, because everyone loves a goodie. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.